Welcome my friends, this is Maniacal Incorporated, and the Kingdom of Ireland is under attack. A massive Brythonic coalition is currently sieging down parts of Ulster. We've already lost Galloway, and we're at minus 50% war score. Another hefty defeat, or even the seizure of some areas here, could lead to our ultimate defeat. We see our new allies from Leinster moving north to join us at Tara. We see the forces of Kirkin are heading across to join up with us. We're going to move north to Oriel, to Argyll, and hopefully join up with them and try and bring the entire coalition in against one of these armies and hopefully do enough damage to drive them out of the region. And speaking of Oriel, you might think that Fergus is having a bad day. Well, who's really having a bad day is Thalva, who was installed as the ruler of Argyll, Archbishop, at the request of the Pope towards the end of the last episode. Let's see how he's getting on. Oh, he's not there anymore. And if we check the title history, we will see that the title was revoked by Alil. And Thalva, oh no, Thalva's died. And he has a red skull, that's not good. He was sacrificed to High Chieftain Alil's gods. How do we explain this to the Pope? How do we explain that one of our vassals sacrificed the man that he installed as Archbishop of Armagh? If you've watched my video on Munster in the 1066 start, you'll know that Donica was deposed in 1063 and undertook a pilgrimage to Rome. Well, if we don't win this battle, we'll be undertaking a pilgrimage to Rome to explain ourselves. Kirkin's forces are going to move around to the north of us. That's a bit of a pity. If we could have actually moved in here before these forces came across, we could have dealt some extra damage to them. We're going to have to move quickly. And we actually have some allies coming up from here that have the disembarkation penalty. Hopefully everyone's going to start to move in, but we're going to be in first. And we're actually going to have to hold against a substantial coalition before we get the rest of our forces in. They're coming in piecemeal. We have an advantage. One of our champions has been maimed. And we have managed to defeat them. We've managed to lift the siege in this area. We have gotten the war score down to minus 37. We've taken a couple of people prisoner, including, I think this is a mercenary guard. We're going to bring the forces across and try and lift the siege of Galloway. And isn't it fine for some who don't have to be worrying about a war? We've been invited to Ennis by Neadfriach. We have the chance to increase our hunter's trait. We do love hunting, and we almost gained some stress in the last episode by giving out to Diarmid, who brought some information to us about hunting. So do you know what? I'm going to accept. If we have to spend a lot of money, though, a tenner. That's not the worst. Do I need the forthers to get through the various bogs and places? You know what, we'd better keep them. There are some hills. Oh, those hills might be a bit dangerous. And I actually just figured out how to do this now. By adding some detours, we can actually avoid Urvuan, and we can go through Bir. So this will be all wetlands, so we'll be grand because we have our forther. And then coming back, we will have to go to Athay and Kildare. But we'll avoid this region. So we will accept that. Spend a tenner. Now, as we've just spent a tenner, we can take a look at some of our prisoners. Here is Humfried. And we can get that 10 quid back. So I'll ransom him out. He's not the best of knights. Here's a Lieber who has been in prison for 17 months. So I think since our war in the Outer Hebrides. And he actually has the military engineer trait. With a name like Lieber, you would indeed expect him to know his way around heavy machinery. And I'm going to recruit him to court because I don't actually have anyone else with the military engineer trait at the moment. There's somebody we could hire for 30 gold. Well, that's out of the question now. So we will force Lieber to convert. And when we begin the siege of Galloway, I'll put him in charge of the army. Do you think maybe Fergus is a bit overly confident? He has received news that the forces of Ulster have been driven out, that the forces attacking Ulster, I should say, have been driven out. Do you think he's a bit overconfident? I hope this hunt goes well. And what we're actually going to do is try and bring our army around to attack Pau's forces. And we're also making camp. So the intent is recreation, and we do actually have a good chunk of stress at the moment. There's not much of a guest list. So I've checked my gear and horse many times. It won't be long now. Ned Friuk has decided that he wants to hunt a roe today. Let's get out there. So prestige is mediocre. Peril is mild. I like how the battle starts and it just shows the two boys out hunting while a battle for the future of the Kingdom of Ireland has begun. It's the Battle of Carrick. We're bringing in overwhelming forces. Give them a good old baiting. The baiting that they deserve. One of our champions, I believe, has been killed. Thankfully, we're being told about all the important stuff in the middle of a battle. Ned Friuk's huntsmen say they know the place of the beast's covert. Ah yes, the beastly roe. Does anyone hear the clash of swords in the background? So nothing immediate happens. And if we could actually hit the forces to the south as well, that would be tremendous. So Crihan, a commoner, was killed. And despite the best efforts, we were unable to get close to the roe. And the hunt fails. There wasn't much of a chance of success of that hunt in the first place, Ned Friuk. Ned Friuk, I think you could have probably spent a bit more money. So we've lost 26 stress, gained 93 prestige, gained the trait Hunter. We have gained experience in Venator, in horse and bow. So bow isn't something that we've been following tremendously, I don't think. We've gained the trait Hunter. Oh no, Ned Friuk did. Oh well, at least you got something, Ned Friuk. And now we will hunt for the most dangerous foe of all. Humans. We've managed to hit one of their armies as Fergus travels through Kincora. And sitting in a tent we find a wise man, just like the legends of our father meeting St. Patrick in a tent on his way back from a pilgrimage before converting to Insular Christianity. On Vkelach, he knows how to work some military machines. We're going to ask him to tell us our future because we'll take stress from everything else. There's a chance that we will lose 9 stress and get good travel omens for 5 years. Or that we'll get bad omens. We got good omens. They're the best kind of omens. So we've made a Hames out of their forces. We're going to switch commanders to... So this guy would cost about 30 quid to hire. Lieber has joined us. And we'll bring him in and get him beginning the siege of Galloway. And we arrive home with 1 extra trait in horse. The subjects of the kingdom are dealing with the constant state of war that the kingdom has found itself in over the last couple of years in different ways. Some people abandon the capital to go on a hunt as soon as they receive good news. Others have taken to the drink, such as our son and heir Diarmid. We could punish him, tell him this behaviour is unacceptable. Or we could lose 15 stress, and he would become a drunkard. Look at his traits. Deceitful, sadistic, wrathful. I don't think drunkard is going to make this child any worse. We can see that parts of Ulster are under siege again. However, we are on the verge of lifting the siege of Galloway. I call them sieges, but obviously we're taking this area back. They do actually have a straight road to the capital, so we are kind of in a bad position. We've got them down to 3 war score. We will put... Not putting you anywhere near command. You did a mighty job before, but you've messed things up. The Pope will have things to say to you. Ken Macragnall, who put in tremendous work in the recent battles that we've been involved in. Ken has died. One of our knights had done mighty work and has died as a result of his wounds. So POWs are going to bring their forces in very slowly. Another one of our knights has died under mysterious circumstances. Now is not the time for individuals to be dying of mysterious circumstances. I'm not happy with that. Here is the champion of the serpent, Doi. And because we've lost a few knights, I've actually been able to move his son, Thungol, in to take the position of successor. And the other thing I've done is I have married Thungol to the widow of Ken, who died there recently. So they have both lost a spouse at various different times. But should anything happen to Doi now, his son, Thungol, will take over from him, and entirely possible, his son, Thunmol, might succeed him someday. I don't think we're going to hit them before they get out, but we are finally bringing the war to the coalition. They're going to bring their forces across. They only have 70, so I'm not too sure they can do all that much. They have actually gone for the Outer Hebrides, the Divils. I'd be hoping my allies might go up and do something. They are indeed. That is fantastic. And our alliance with Kirken has ended because the ruler was actually murdered by his successor. This is hardly his son, is it? From what I can see, Ardal murdered his grandfather and has become the new ruler of Kirken. Our alliance is gone, and I'm not too sure we can actually form an alliance or formalize an alliance with him. He is still involved in the war for now. He has greatly weakened himself. The absolute devil. Look at him. A kinslayer. So this war has created dramatic political upheaval in the entire region. So here then is Uin, the uncle of the current ruler of Kirken, the son of the previous ruler who has just been murdered, and here is our daughter who is betrothed to him. Well, if that's fallen apart, we will break that betrothal. Now, a potentially better alliance at the moment would be if we were to marry one of our children, one of our daughters, to Ardal's son, and potential successor in that region, but he seems to be a rather problematic figure, so I'm not too sure what we're going to do with him. I put my spy master trying to figure out who killed one of our knights in this region. Switch to disrupt schemes. We can see that our allies have moved up to the Outer Hebrides and have actually managed to take somebody hostage. Now, we've gotten a nice chunk of gold. We have not, however, gotten 100% war score, which I kind of actually expected. They do have 708 forces that they're sending across. I'm going to continue sieging places. But it's entirely possible they're going to try and bring those across and start causing trouble. My daughter Dunla has been impressed with one of the household champions for a very long time. This Egypt, who can't hold a hunt to save his life. Well, she'll keep the diligent trait. If I'm correct, that was a rather bad mistake by them. They went for Galloway. Our allies could have hit them, but instead they're going to come down and pay us a visit. Thanks, allies. Ooh, they are now putting together a substantial army, and if they're heading for Tara, we might very well have to lift the siege and try and get across, because if they take that, that could be a problem. That could be a very big problem. High Chieftain Alil has replaced us as the head of the dynasty. He's probably after taking a chunk more land. It's entirely possible we're actually going to have to go in against them. We have higher quality forces. They recently disembarked. Oh, I think we're just about going to have an advantage over them. Somebody brings me a new translation. What a time for a new translation. We are going to try and translate The Secret of Secrets. Because if you learn The Secret of Secrets, I mean, that's it. You know everything. Another hefty defeat has been imposed upon our enemies. We've captured a couple of champions at the Battle of Tara, and we're seeing our forces coming slowly across. Instead of spending a ton of money, we're going to try and... Do I want to spend 11 quid to go over there and siege this area down? We're going to get 14, but we've already spent 16 coming across. We might take the scenic route. I find myself working on the translation of The Secret of Secrets for hours under the flickering light of a candle. Often I will barely notice time passing, my scribes remind me, however. Some sleep will do us good. Now, I don't know if we're going to hit this army before they go out to sea. We do not. They are continuing up towards the Outer Hebrides. And we're seeing another change in a coalition, so I believe this is David. And the member of the family has died from a minor illness. I'm having the notes of my translation of Secret of Secrets read back to me when I snap to with a sudden understanding. Scribe! Add the following commentary. So we'll gain some piety. We'll gain some stress because we're zealous. We'll take the piety. Now we are going in a bit early. We're going into a bad area. We'll have defending in the hills somehow. It's entirely possible that they'll actually get out first. A specific phrase from The Secret of Secrets has been frustrating my translation efforts all day. I've even started muttering it to myself sometimes. So, Skandol. 50% chance that he finds the answer, or Skandol gains opinion. And the... So it's a 50-50 that it will improve significantly or slightly. So yeah, we'll go with this. Help me, Skandol, help me. And he helped us to become the head of the dynasty. It has been a glorious series of victories from Tara to the Outer Hebrides. However, Fian Ku, our spy master, has been killed. So we have the empty council position, and spy master is actually going to be a difficult one to find somebody for. And you know what? Seems though she is a powerful vassal, and she is demanding a seat on the council. Our wife. Seems though he died in the Outer Hebrides. We'll appoint her to the position, and I'm actually going to also begin a scheme. I couldn't see the schemes over here on the side. I'm going to begin a scheme to romance her. Now, we're not the greatest of warriors, but you know what? We will try and impress her by winning a sparring match. So I recruit one of my most senior soldiers, I hope it's not Alil, and set out for the Outer Hebrides. Well, we don't have really far to go. Well, I suppose we're still in Tara. I dedicate this victory to you, wife. Bringing you honor is my only desire. So she won't resist my charms for long. I put you on the throne here. And I can put you back down too. News is travelling far and wide that Ireland will be victorious in resisting the foreign incursion into its lands, and we're now being invited to foreign weddings. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea where this man is. I think he's way, way up. There he is. That's gonna take us a while. So he's inviting us to his wedding to the Princess of Britannia. So that's way down in the very south of England. I think we had an alliance with them or some rivals at one stage. Do you know what? Sure. We have to leave within 3 months. It's only going to cost us a tenner to get there. Could we, / should we, make some deferrals? Can we make some deferrals? Now, what I would like to do is that we would head north to the wedding, and on the way back that we would stop to see the wife. But it's a dangerous place. It's a dangerous place. Let's see if we can actually customize the route any further. So there's a 51% chance of danger because of the county control. Do you know what? I'm actually happy enough with that route. So we're gonna travel, and then on the way down we're going to visit the wife, we're going to visit Iona, and we're going to get back to Tara. So as we're setting out, we're taking the sea route because we know that there's battles and wars and all types of shenanigans going on here, and hopefully the return journey, this region will be a bit safer. We do have the ability to get another lifestyle learning perk. I'm going to go for Scholarly Circles, learning per level of devotion +2. I don't think that's going to do anything for us immediately. It brings us up by 6. Hell's bells, look at that for a learning level. And I'm going to come down this chain. I think I'm just going to stay with the Scholar chain. We're doing a good job of rising the development level in Tara, which is pretty much what I'm focusing on at the moment. And if we see where we are in terms of raiding vessels, we're now 21 years out. We were at 16 for a while. Oh God, help us all. Because of our departure, look at us there, sailing away in a ship. Oh God, we've entered into a regency with Diarmid. Diarmid, what are you doing on the ship? You're supposed to be staying at home minding the kingdom. So the fresh sea air is doing wonders for at least my health and well-being. However, we are not all so lucky. I've noticed how Diarmid has been going through alcohol withdrawal. Find a port so that Diarmid may rest and fully recover. So he will gain some opinion of us. I know a cure for you. We're going to dunk his head in the salt water. So he could end up developing pneumonia. Or it's just a little cough. I know the cure. Hair of the dog. See, look, he's fine. Realistically, I suppose we all knew that this day was coming. My Marshal, High Chieftain Alil, has laid claim to the Kingdom of Ireland. Apparently, there was a strategic marriage between our dynasties some generations ago. Like, we were the same people. We were the same... I think his grandfather... Is he related to Ukka as well? He is, yeah. These claims are entirely fabricated. No, they're not. So he has pressed a claim to the Kingdom of Ireland. Does he spend or do we spend 350 prestige? And he becomes our rival. Does he really think he's going to get away with this? Our forces have been significantly weakened, but I'm not too sure what his alliances look like. He doesn't have any. Now, some of ours have collapsed of recent. So we do need to kind of hurry up and maybe bring this war to an end. Lued is in charge of the food supplies. This is the 3rd time this has happened. So nature will provide for us. 98% chance that we go fishing. And a 1% chance that we become ill. Let's go fishing. And the battle has come to an end. 100% war score started 5 years ago. I think there have been a number of changes in personnel. We will enforce our demands. 48 gold. We get 48 gold and 350 prestige. There it is, the 350 prestige that we lost to that Divil Alil. Enforce our demands. And the great thing is that we didn't have to pay Geralt. Geralt did basically a holding action in this region at one stage. Fair play to him. Thanks, Geralt. Now, we had initially been planning to use this against Leinster, and of course we could also keep hold of it to use against Alil, but I have a feeling that Alil probably won't be hanging around for much longer. I haven't started a scheme to kill him or anything like that, but I'm just expecting that his time is short. So we gain 150 prestige, we gain some fame, and our enemies will gain bent swords. So monthly prestige will be decreased, and it costs 100 piety. We will gladly pay that. So this is the second time that Ireland has bent the swords of its enemies. The first time that Fergus has done so. They shall suffer. He's got a big owl hat on him. I'm not too sure what he's actually doing at the moment. But Mercarthuk, our friend, we are in a position to offer him vassalage and actually expand the Kingdom of Ireland for the first time in a very long time. So I think we have arrived at the grand wedding. Now, we could try and murder somebody, but instead, what we will do is see about diplomacy and potentially forming an alliance with somebody. So we have the King of Britannia has a substantial number of forces. Is it showing where exactly he is? So I'm convinced I had an alliance with somebody from this general region at one stage. There is the ruler of Caithness, which might be a bit closer. Do you know what? That's actually a fairly solid army. There is Bran Macfergusa of the Pharaohs. And then we have the ruler of the Shetlands. Do you know what? I think we're going to go, because he's a bit closer. I think we will go with Katniss. So Alil the Divil absolutely hates me, so there's no point keeping him on the council. I am going to assign our champion. Fire him. And let's see if we can increase county control. There's a couple of areas where it needs to be lifted. Now, of course, these are all areas that are under Alil's authority. However, we'll probably go for Arguilla, because I know we're going to be returning through this region, but we do need to bring our army back to solid numbers. Look at this, 10 years to bring that back under control. 7 years to convert Breffni. I wonder actually if we go for Alec instead, which has just joined us. There you go, 6 years. So it looks like we've arrived at this wedding probably about 2 months too early, and we've just been hanging around the Pharaohs, working on the translation of The Secret of Secrets. And it finally stands complete. My words rest on beautifully illuminated pages, all protected by a lavish cover, as benefits the work's importance. So we gain a ton of stuff. We gain a learning lifestyle perk, extra piety and prestige and clergy opinion, and +1 learning. And so for that perk, we will continue down the scholar tree. Wards get additional skills and can become friends. So that would be handy with the... Is it Friendly Council or Sound Foundations? Actually, both of them, really. I look around myself in excitement. I'm trying to secure a book deal. Everywhere there are mingling guests, there are flowers. We see Bran checking on the final details. The nervous but excited spouses, Bran and Wulfgith, are standing at the ready. The ceremony is about to begin. I can't wait. As the ceremony runs its course, we finally manage to corner Erpin, the target of our diplomacy. You can never feel too safe Your enemies are always getting stronger around you. A pity if someone took advantage of that, So we could try and intimidate him with intrigue or diplomacy. There's actually an 85% chance that he is intimidated. Only a 22% chance that we would succeed with diplomacy. I thought our diplomacy was very good. It's equal to our intrigue, but apparently, I suppose he has very high diplomacy and low intrigue. It would be a pity if someone took advantage of that, wouldn't it? So we got a weak hook in him and lost some stress. Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you? A curse undone. Through all the playthroughs that I have done, I have never been so happy to see somebody dead. Chieftain Alil has gone to whatever gods he worships. Or that's what he thinks. And when he arrives at the gates of heaven, I have no doubt that Falva will be there waiting for him. Not a day too soon. The ceremony has finally reached its climax. Who's actually conducting the wedding? Muel Kiron. Just some random dude. Everyone starts cheering. Everyone's delighted. This is so exciting. So the wedding has indeed been carried out. I hope we're not advising them on the best ways for a happy marriage. No, the grub is being brought out. That's all we care about. Oh, the poor bride. She's been cornered by lads talking nonsense to her. She's trying to hide from them. I think my acquaintance should act in such a way so we could try and distract the guests. We'd get a weak hook on her. I mean, they did invite us to a wedding. So, or we could form a rivalry. We'll try and distract the guests. Every wedding banquet is host to a frankly interminable number of speeches. And apparently we're expected to make one. So we could praise the happy couple as expected. We could say something sweet and gain a bit of opinion. Show off our oratory skills. 29% chance of success. However, even if it fails, we're going to get 75 prestige. Now, the princess is going to lose some opinion, but I don't care. And we actually succeeded. Pieces of sharp metal in some of the dishes, splinters on the chairs, small accidents, promising bruises. Sitting at the head of the table, my acquaintance, Bran, cannot hide the cold smile spreading across his face as another lord, Luaed, spits blood onto his plate. That's not another lord, that's our caravan master. This is unacceptable behaviour. We will lose opinion with him, but gain 150 prestige. The devil. I'm taking back the microwave I bought him. There's two lads here fighting about the decorations, arguing about the decorations. We could stay out of it, but our stress is at 0. This guy is just a guest, whereas Gallum is the ruler, I think, of the Shetlands. So we have a chance of gaining martial lifestyle, which I don't really need. We'd gain 500 here, but we'd gain 100 here and 35 opinion with Gallum, which is what we'll go for. The wedding night starts and we've been invited. Have we? It's time. And I don't know what we did on the wedding night, but we've gained a favour hook on this lad. Now. One after another, all the guests are leaving, and it's time for me to depart as well. The wedding was a great success. We haven't succeeded with our diplomacy attempt. So, okay, he gets prestige, he loses stress. That's great. Oh no, we get those things. I was going to say, what about me? I'm the important person at this wedding. So I lose some stress and gain 150 prestige. That's the most important thing. So finish the grand wedding. And now we begin the long trek home. And what a home it is we are returning to. Here is High Chieftain Na'i. with very, very few forces to his name. So his father's great military might has been undone. And we're going to have to take a look at what we can and can't do. So of course his father would have exerted control over this entire region, and now it has been split out amongst all of his children. The first thing we will do, now that our strongest vassal has been severely weakened, is pass limited tribal authority. Lads, you're not going to get much trading done just here out in the middle of the water, but apparently there are some traders and they are offering us a sword of some make, shape or form. It's a famed weapon, plus 4 prowess and plus 0.15 prestige per month, and I think returning to Ireland with a weapon like this from a wedding, one of the first major foreign incursions that we've actually gone on. I think it's the first time that we have travelled outside of Ireland for anything other than raiding or war. And returning to Ireland and showing this off to our vassals, it's going to cost us 75 gold. But it will be mine. So we arrive in the Outer Hebrides and begin our march through our wife's territory down towards Iona. Oh god, we've ran out of food again. So there's a 1% chance that we die. 40% chance that it's just a bit of mold, or we lose prestige. We should have just stayed on the boat and kept fishing. It worked for us the last time. There's a 96% chance that we find something. What could possibly go wrong? Poor old Luaid still hasn't recovered from all the broken glass that he ate on the Faroe Islands. We could try to cure him ourselves. However, we do have our regent, Diarmid, with us. Not too sure how that is. But he is a novice physician and an alcoholic at this stage. Diarmid, can you treat him? We arrive back in Tara at long last. We've been gone for 444 days and travelled 24 baronies. Not too shabby. Thank God I can go inside again. There are a number of things that I would like to do, however we have absolutely no money, and as such, the forces have been risen in Ulster and are going to be marched across into Carrick, and we're going to begin the process of heading down in this direction. Na'i in Galway, or in Connacht, has gotten himself into some type of war against somebody, I'm not too sure. Galway is under occupation again. I haven't been listening. Na'i can do what he wants for now. And we can see that we're getting a couple of people inspired, however, we don't have the finances at the moment to do anything about that. So that's why we are sieging down some areas. And there is maybe an unexpected development. Our wife has passed away. She was stone mad by the end of it. Now, entirely forgetful as to who... Yeah, we had an alliance in this region that our father got some use from, but which collapsed after his death. Or after, I think, the death of the ruler of this region. So we didn't exactly get a tremendous amount of diplomatic value from her. She is a drunkard, she is a lunatic, and at least one of those traits has now been inherited by her son. That's going to be interesting. Our daughter Scahach, the future Queen of Leinster, comes of age. I'm still not too sure how to pronounce this name. It's very similar to Cahir, but I believe it's Cahir Mac Crihin of Lyne. We'll just refer to him as that devil of a son-in-law. Now, I'm not entirely too sure what has happened here, but Dungol has been deposed as the successor to the title Champion of the Serpent. So it has gone to A. And Diamasach is the new successor. I'm not too sure why this has happened. His father, Doi, is no longer the champion because he is infirm, which has knocked his prowess below 6. So, can I make Dungol the successor? Not too sure why exactly that happened. On our wife's death, our secondary wife and spymaster became our primary wife. So we now have a vacant position on the council. We don't have anyone great within the family to appoint. We could put Diarmid in there. We won't put Diarmid in there. Ned Friok is actually already doing something. Ned Friok will become our new spymaster. Oh god, his diplomacy skills had gotten absolutely terrible. We could put Dungol in there and gain some of his diplomacy. We could put this fool in there and put him trying to improve relations with himself. Do you know what? We might well do that for a while. He's after losing an arm, trying to emulate the achievements of his father. We have travelled to Armagh. We have travelled to the Faroe Islands, and now we are receiving an invitation to San Marino from the King of the Ostrogoths. There is a chance, however, that we will not arrive in time. It's going to take 7 months to get there. And if we elect to join the tournament, we are given a very long travelling direction. So this will be the greatest tour that we will ever take on if we accept it. And what I'm going to do, it's hard to kind of make out. We can see the arrows are leading down in this direction, so we would come ashore here, head across, straight across kind of the southwest of France, and we would get back on our boat and we would sail across over to here, and then come back in pretty much the exact same route back. I'm actually going to reorganize the return route a bit. So I've actually had to make a couple of changes. The first and most important was to add mercenary guards. So I was leaving on the 13th of March and arriving... Well, no, the activity was starting on the 13th and I was arriving on the 14th, so I could not actually press this button. But by putting in mercenary guards, that increases our travel speed, so we will arrive in time. That is the most important thing. And after we have taken part in the Grand Tournament, we are going to leave San Marino and head south. I'm just looking around to see what else is around in this region. Anything that I would be dramatically interested in. Actually, I would like to go down here, but that's a bit far. We are going to leave San Marino and head south to Rome. And we will try and explain to the Pope what happened in Armagh. And hopefully he won't be mad. And then we're going to leave. And we're going to sail across in this direction to the capital of the kingdom of the Visigoths. And we will visit the scholarly court to gain some learning lifestyle experience. And then we have a long trek up through France. And we have a chance of argy-bargy. We have a mountaineer. I don't think the mountaineer... we have hills in these regions, so we'd better actually leave the mountaineer. I was going to maybe put in experienced captains. But we're basically attempting to visit here for 200 learning lifestyle experience. So the additional cost, the total time is going to be 16 months. There's 143% speed, 46 safety. That's not the worst. And we will visit a number of major sites to gain learning lifestyle experience and just to visit Rome itself. So we can gain the traveler trait and trigger a sightseeing event. What a dramatic turn of events it has been in Fergus's life. At the start of this episode, a substantial chunk of his kingdom was under siege and it looked entirely like he was going to lose his crown, and now he is a highly respected king, being invited to numerous different events. The length and breadth of Europe he has travelled from or will at least travel from, the Faroes all the ways down as far as Rome. So an incredible turn of events, and his army is still raised and still raiding through England. And he is still doing his best to spread the insular faith, and now hoping to spread it up into Alloch. Thank you for joining me on this episode. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a like. It does help to notify the algorithm that this is a video it should suggest to others, and that helps the channel. And I hope you will join me on the next one. We have a lot of traveling to do and a lot of sightseeing.